Start the day's other headlines with more on the Trump administration's deportation efforts. Today, the Justice Department asked the Supreme Court to strip legal protections for some 350,000 Venezuelan migrants. If successful, that could lead to their deportation. The DOJ wants the High Court to put on hold a ruling from a federal judge in San Francisco that kept in place so-called temporary protected status for the migrants, or TPS. The program allows people already in the U.S. to live and work legally because their native countries are considered unsafe. The Trump administration is pushing for more behavioral therapy for transgender youth instead of gender-affirming health care. The guidance comes in a 409-page report from the Department of Health and Human Services. It questions current treatment standards and reflects the shift in the government's approach to transgender issues. The head of the National Institutes of Health, nominated by Trump, says the goal is to, quote, follow the gold standard of science, not activist agendas. But many medical experts disagree. The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry has said that such conversion therapies can harm young people. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced plans today to recruit and retain more air traffic controllers to offset chronic staffing shortages. That includes a 20% annual bonus for controllers who are near retirement age to stay on the job, plus $5,000 bonuses to all Academy graduates and new hires. The agency will also streamline getting new recruits into the FAA Academy and will look to hire more former military controllers. Duffy says he'll lay out plans next week to ask Congress for billions of dollars to fix the nation's crumbling air traffic control infrastructure. In cities around the globe, demonstrators took part in traditional May Day marches today, with many taking aim at the policies of the Trump administration.
The people united shall never be defeated.
Blocks from the White House, protesters marched against Trump's deportation policies, saying workers' rights were also immigrants' rights. Anger against Trump was also seen in places like Pakistan, while in the Philippines, discontent boiled over into clashes with police. May Day is also International Workers' Day, or Labor Day, and it comes amid global concerns over the economic impact of President Trump's tariffs. Turning now to the fallout from the minerals deal struck between the U.S. and Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky is making the case that it is a fair deal to his country following months of sometimes tense negotiations. According to the text released by Ukraine's government, it covers minerals such as rare earth elements, plus resources like oil and natural gas. However, it only relates to profits that are generated by new investments. It also doesn't include any specific security guarantees to deter future Russian aggression, which Ukraine had long called for. In his nightly address, Zelensky insisted that the deal is good for Ukraine.
The agreement has changed significantly during the preparation process. Now it is a truly equal agreement that creates an opportunity for investments in Ukraine, quite significant ones, and in addition, also for significant modernization of production in Ukraine, and, no less importantly, modernization of legal practices in our state.
The agreement creates an investment fund that Ukrainian officials hope will be used to deliver future U.S. military assistance. It still requires ratification from Ukraine's parliament. South Korea's political turmoil picked up the pace today with a series of head-spinning developments. The country's acting leader, Han Duck-soo, is resigning amid reports he'll run in next month's presidential election. The nation's finance minister was set to take over as acting president, but he also resigned today as lawmakers prepared to vote on his impeachment. That's left Education Minister Lee Joo-ho to take over as acting president. In the meantime, the country's Supreme Court issued a ruling today that casts doubt on whether frontrunner Lee Jae-myung can run for the presidency. South Koreans head to the polls on June 3rd. A pair of NASA astronauts became the fifth all-female team to ever perform a spacewalk today.
Marcus, my safety tether is attached to the aft.
Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers stepped outside the International Space Station to prepare the facility for new solar panels, among other tasks. They'd been sent to the ISS in March to replace Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams, who'd been stuck there for months. McClain should have taken part in the first all-female spacewalk back in 2019, but there weren't enough medium-sized suits available at the time. On Wall Street today, stocks ended higher after some upbeat earnings from tech giants like Microsoft and Meta. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added around 80 points. The Nasdaq jumped more than 260 points on the day. The S&P 500 also closed in positive territory. And a trio of Broadway shows are leading the charge in Tony Award nominations, announced this morning.
Waiting for a chance to invite you in my heart.
Maybe Happy Ending received 10 nods, including for Best Musical and Best Lead Actor in a Musical. A strong showing for the offbeat show about two robots set in the year 2064 in South Korea. Buena Vista Social Club, inspired by the 1997 hit album of the same name, also received 10 nominations, as did the dark comedy Death Becomes Her, about two women who live with the consequences of a potion that promises eternal youth. In all, 29 shows got at least one nomination. The awards will be given on June 8th at New York's Radio City Music Hall. Still to come on the NewsHour, a leading conservative activist on his push to scrutinize DEI in higher education, and Conclave author Robert Harris on the secretive tradition of selecting a new pope.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington, and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.